Well, today I wanted to apologize to you because there's been some comments that said, you know, sometimes you just make it look really easy, and I'm struggling with all of these decisions that I have to make when I'm decluttering and simplifying, and I don't know if it's just me or if I'm missing something or what's going on. And so it's not just you. There are a lot of tough decisions along the way. I always say it does get easier, but I was surprised, even when we were just cleaning out our basement last weekend, that there was a few things that hung me up. So I'll definitely show you what they were and also the logic I used to move past and to be able to let them go. Well, hi, I'm Dawn from The Minimal Mom, and honestly, I'm sitting in the car because I need a little bit of a break from the kids. And so we still have about a month before the kids go back to school. I'm not sure how it is where you are. We go back pretty late, right after Labor Day. And so we have had a really great summer. It's been going really well, but we just kind of hit that point where it was like, okay, we've all had a lot of time together and a lot of each other. Normally I would send them outside to play, but I actually wanted to finish getting the stuff together that I'm going to take to the donation center from when we cleaned out the basement, and also when Adeline was going through her clothes. I do like to donate it right away because otherwise people around the house, they start to pull stuff out of it, or I start to second guess things. So like many of you, I decide as soon as it's loaded up, get it out of here, right? But there is a reoccurring comment that I wanted to address today that often says something to the effect of, am I doing it wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Because these feel like hard decisions, and a lot of this feels like hard work, and some days I just don't even feel like I'm up to the task. And so I did want to kind of try and think back in time to when we were really doing the bulk of simplifying our house and remember what that was like. And as I thought back to it more, and then also kind of revisit it when we were going through our basement recently, I remember there were a lot of really tough decisions because most of us don't hang on to stuff we don't need or don't think we'll need, right? I mean, as we're going through our stuff, we'll find a little bit of garbage. Some of it is really easy, obvious decisions, but a lot of it is stuff that we've hung on to because we think we might need it, and that's why we hang on to it. So it's not like we're just hanging on to random stuff that doesn't matter. We're hanging on to stuff that could serve a purpose that we might need, and we certainly don't want to pay money to have to replace. And so I totally understand that. I get where you're coming from. So I'll show you a few things that hung me up when we were cleaning out our basement, and then also kind of reiterate how awesome the benefits are of simplifying our house, and hopefully inspire you to be able to keep going, even though, yes, there are a lot of tough decisions involved in this process. So let me show you a few things that hung me up. Okay, this Tom brought into our marriage. So we've moved this for 3 different houses. It's just a power strip. It's nothing, I mean, I have no idea what this even costs to replace, like $15. It's a high quality one, I don't know. And so, but what was my thought when I saw it? I was like, we must need it for something, right? I mean, power strips, you kind of use them, especially in an older house where you don't have a lot of outlets. I could not think of a single use for it. I asked Tom, do you have any use for this? Kind of hoping he would be like, oh yeah, we'll use it for that. And then I could just like pass it on and I don't even have to think about it anymore. He's like, I didn't even know we had that. And I'm like, dang it, right? And the funny thing is though, I didn't remember we had it either. So even if there was an occasion where I would have needed a power strip in the last year, or literally 10, we've been married almost 11 years. I didn't even remember it was in the box in the basement, so I would have went and bought one because I didn't know it was there. So I had to remind myself, if I have not used this in 11 years, I know a lot of times we use like the 1-year guideline. Friend, if I have not used this in 11 years, what would you tell me? You'd be like, of course, get rid of it. That would be so silly to store it. But this really caused me to stop and think about it. So this is getting donated. Another thing I'm probably gonna forget about, look at this very nice cutting board. It's actually glass. Another thing we got for our wedding that we registered for. So I had a bin of extra kitchen stuff in the basement, and I don't know, like cutting boards, they kind of wear out, right? So I had been hanging on to this because I thought I might need it. But the problem is, I don't know if you can tell the scale of this. It's not very big, and so there's probably a reason I've never actually unwrapped it and used it, is because I have plenty of cutting boards and they're bigger, so they kind of function for everything. I mean, they show cutting up like a lime and a lemon on here, so I guess for little things it might be nice, but again, I haven't needed it in 11 years. But also, if I put this back in a storage bin, I almost guarantee you that I'll forget about it again. And should I need a new cutting board, I'm not gonna remember it's there. So that's kind of, you'll see a recurring theme, my memory, basically. But if I'm not gonna remember it's there, that means it's too much inventory to manage. And so why not share this with a friend at a donation center who might be actually really excited to come across it and might have a use for a smaller cutting board and be excited that it's brand new, it's still in the wrapper. Okay, let's talk about kids' clothes. I was just talking to my sister and she was lamenting over the fact that Adley is over a year now, so she was kind of going through all of her old clothes and she was like, do you know how many things I took the tag off, washed it so she could wear it, and she never wore? And I said, yeah, I have 4 kids, right? I've been there, done that. We've all been there. And so in the video with Adeline about school shopping, we talked about this orange shirt. How many things have we bought for our kids thinking either they'll look really cute in it, or they'll love it, or it'll match something we're gonna wear, you know, all the different things, or it's on clearance, or somebody handed it down to us. And so kids' clothes, we're gonna talk about kids' clothes more coming up next week and how we store it so we don't forget about them. But the biggest lesson with kids' clothes I'm realizing is that they don't need as much as I originally thought. I did talk about this a little bit more in the video, so you can watch that to see a little more of my logic about why I can get rid of it now. But kids' clothes, it can be tough, but let's cut our losses. Let's bless somebody else who could actually use it, and use it while it's either still in season or still in style. Okay, here's another one. So this is a white sheet set. I thought for a while when I first became a minimalist that I thought it would be really nice to have white sheets because you can bleach them. They just seemed like it would be easy to take care of, and you know, they're just nice and simple and plain. What I didn't realize is that one person in our relationship would get white sheets really dirty. I won't name names, but even when we lived in our townhouse, white sheets weren't actually very practical, and I'm not good at the whole bleach thing and all of that. And so I had gotten 2 sets, because that's also back when I still thought you needed 2 sets of sheets. Now we have 1 set, which is good for people like me who aren't really like on top of things like this, because if I take the sheets off the bed to wash them, they have to get washed that day and put back on, or we don't have sheets to sleep on. So it's amazing how that keeps you accountable. So we literally have 1 set of sheets from our bed. I had kept these though because I thought, oh, well, it would be nice when we have guests stay at our house, then I would put the white sheets on. Well, we have averaged having guests at our house maybe once a year, and I have never taken the time to pull these sheets out. I just wash our sheets and put them back on the bed. And so these have never gotten used. But what's even a bigger disappointment is that the plastic actually broke off, and now I just noticed that the corner of it is all dirty just from being in storage. And so I'm like, that's so frustrating, because if I would have just donated this a few years ago when I decided that I wasn't going to use it, somebody could have got like a perfect sheet set at the donation center. And now I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. Do I donate it like this, or do I take everything out and try and wash it and get that spot out? That's a lot of work, right? I mean, we've talked about it before, but stuff deteriorates when it's in storage. It's not worth it. And so I don't know. I'm not going to think about that right now. So my point today though is, yes, there are a lot of tough decisions as you're going through this process. My encouragement to you is that, like many of you have said, once it's donated, we totally forget about it. Over the last 5 years, we've donated 80% of our possessions, and I've said it before, but the number of things that I wish I wouldn't have is under $5 and under $100. And so I think the reason why we sometimes can kind of gloss over the simplifying and the decluttering process, or make it sound like it was really easy, is because we forget so quickly. We adjust so quickly to how our house feels to be simplified, and the benefits are so great that we forget the pain. In a way, I think it's kind of like having a baby, because once the baby's here and in our arms, we forget about the pain that was involved. I mean, most of it, right? And so I kind of feel that way about our house, is that I've totally forgotten about the hours and hours I spent going through stuff. But now our house is so enjoyable. It's so easy to keep clean. It's so peaceful. So it's really easy to forget about all the tough decisions that I had to make, and the money that we wasted, and all the things that have been donated now, and the things I thought we'd use and didn't use. And so it's amazing how quickly you forget about these things, and you just move on and you start enjoying the benefits of having a simplified house. And so that's my encouragement too. It's not always easy. We all go through this. We all have tough decisions. I think it's different for everyone. Like, I had no problem getting rid of my clothes, but then when it came to kids' clothes, I kind of got hung up. I don't know, it's funny. I think different things mean more to each of us, and that's okay. But I do think it's worth it, and I think you're gonna be really glad that you did go through this process. And so I do have other videos on the topic, especially regarding gifts that have been given to us and sentimental items. So I'll link to all of those videos down below, kitchen items. So hopefully whatever is hanging you up, we have covered it before, and you might want to revisit those again. Even if you've watched them in the past, sometimes it can be helpful just to watch it again and remember the different questions we can ask ourselves, or you know, the different logic that we can use. And so I will link to all of those down below. Thank you so much for watching. And yes, some of you have mentioned we did hit a big milestone this week. We did hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm gonna cry. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. We'll talk about it next week. I'm still just like totally surprised, kind of waiting for like people to unsubscribe and be like, oh, I subscribed to the wrong channel. Like, I don't know, like they're all gonna go away or something. I don't know. I know that's silly. It's not logical, but thank you so much for your kind words. We will celebrate properly. I'm just gonna give it a few days because then I think I can talk about it without crying. So I'm so grateful for you and that we can go through this journey together. So thank you so much for watching. A thumbs up is the best compliment you can give us. I do hope you subscribe so that we can keep in touch and spend more time together, and I look forward to visiting with you again soon.